All right, what's up, fam? I'm sure many of you already know that United States media, news media, is corrupt. It only gives us the information that they want us to know. And there's a lot of things that we should know, especially as Black Americans, that are happening internationally, but they keep it from us. A lot of that has to do with protecting the image of Europeans. Now, they're dealing with something similarly to what we're dealing with in America, which is the migrant crisis. But their reaction to the migrant crisis should give us an indication as to what we should expect in this country. Now, this is not just only going to affect migrants, it can potentially affect Black Americans. Let's not be fooled here. Let's check out what's going on.
Riots have exploded on the streets of the UK. Far-right groups clashed with Muslim groups in Birmingham after emotions boiled over following a deadly stabbing rampage. Sky News All-Stars Peter Credlin, Esther Kraku and Andrew Bolt take a look at the unfolding situation. The UK is in the midst of the worst riot in over a decade, explains Sky News All-Star Chris Kenny.
First up, I want to show you what's been happening in England, where they've had their worst riots in more than a decade. They were triggered in large part by the alleged stabbing murder of those 3 young girls in Southport in the north of England, but all sorts of antagonism has come to the fore here, racism and antagonism towards immigrants. Here's the latest from Sky News UK.
Wave after wave, as violence descended. Scenes across the country now at risk of becoming normalised. Among the worst, Liverpool, parts of it set on fire, including a library.
A hotel housing asylum seekers, targeted by rioters. Smashing a window and trying to storm in. The group also targeted the officers trying to protect the building. Their weapons, anything they could get their hands on. Burning objects in their way. With flashpoints like this continuing to erupt across the country, the Prime Minister, with his strongest words yet.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend.
So far, the English working class have historically valued their own suffering and hard work. However, over the last 30 years, England has been taken in a flux of immigrants who have been fleeing war, persecution, intense poverty, or in general, immense hardship. The English working class in this time have digested the immigrants' sufferings on TV, newspaper, media outlet. They are always told how much racism, how much struggles, how much hardship these people have had to face in their life and continue to face living in the UK. This now provides an existential threat to the identity of the English working class. For now, if they perceive other groups in society to be suffering more than them, this will produce deep resentment against those who are competing with English working class values. The fear and resentment is in response to the breakdown of meaning and purpose that the working class have found in their suffering and hard work. What is it all for if now the immigrants are here to replace this culture? Also, when immigrants come over and exhibit a similar or greater work ethic than the English working class, this will be taken as an encroachment on English working class identity. Thus, these riots are an example of deep resentment and powerlessness against the changing culture in England. When you see Farage and Robertson call to get our country back, it's a desperate attempt at self-preservation of a decaying culture in England.
To get the message across that this is England and it's a white country and we are not racist, we are just patriotic.
This is not a third world country and it is an absolute, utter disgrace.
Isn't that amazing? The same thing that's going on in the UK is happening right here in America. We want our country back. You guys think this is about the immigrants. And yes, I'm upset about the immigrants issue myself. But what America, white America has in mind, is not only to get rid of immigrants, it's to get rid of you too, black man. Don't think you're not included in the elimination of the unwanted. Because you already know, as black Americans, we are not light. And clearly, we are next.
FBI Director Christopher Wray told Congress the white supremacy movement is a top domestic threat. 60 Minutes Plus correspondent Lori Siegel talks with a former supremacist insider for a chilling look at his group's goal, race war.
They wanted to create such a strain on the logistics of the country, the police, fire, EMS, that they wouldn't have any obstacles in killing the people they wanted to kill, to where they could go out and shoot minorities without having to face the law.
Shooting this weekend, this time at a Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida. Police say the gunman killed 3 black people in a racially motivated attack yesterday afternoon. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette has the latest.
There were tears and deep grief outside the Dollar General store in the northwest section of Jacksonville, where police say a white man filled with hate launched a devastating attack.
Plainly put, this shooting was racially motivated and he hated black people.
Police say the gunman, who was in his 20s, donned a bulletproof vest and mask in the predominantly black neighborhood before entering the store. They say he was armed with a handgun and an AR-15 style rifle painted with swastikas, and that he killed 2 black men and a black woman, then took his own life.
At 1:18 p.m., he texted his father and told his father to check his computer. At 1:53 p.m., the shooter's family members called the Clay County Sheriff's Office. By that time, he had already began shooting in Jacksonville.
Police say the gunman left behind racist writings at his family's home.
It's just something that should not and must not continue to happen in our community.
The attack comes exactly 5 years after a shooting at a video game tournament in Jacksonville that left 2 people dead and injured 10 others. Police say the gunman's writings indicate that may have been why he committed the shooting this weekend. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Oh, let's not forget Dylan Roof of Mother Emanuel AME in South Carolina, and Peyton Gendron, the Buffalo supermarket killer. Both of these attacks were racially motivated.
Fight! 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 We got time. Come on. Hey, we are in the fight for the soul of our nation. We are in a fight for our kids and our grandkids, a fight that we can never imagine. I believe wholeheartedly Donald Trump and Butler County's J.D. Vance are the last chance to save our country politically. I'm afraid if we lose this one, it's going to take a civil war to save the country, and it will be saved. It's the greatest experiment in the history of mankind.
So who is the guy behind this bloodbath and Civil War talk? It's none other than Donald Trump. I know many of you guys out there think he's not a racist, but he's clearly a racist. And you guys need to stop pretending that he's not. Let's look at some of his greatest hits.
Black Lives Matter. There are a lot of thugs.
I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that? They'd be carried out on a stretcher.
The president approvingly retweeted this video of one of his supporters.
A horrific scene in Charlottesville, Virginia. A white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence and chaos.
I think there's blame on both sides. Very fine people on both sides.
He has pulled one of the great cons in the history of politics.
He could have been born in Kenya.
A lot of people do not think it was an authentic certificate.
I'm starting to wonder myself whether or not he was born in this country.
I was the one that got him to produce the birth certificate. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black. I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln.
Donald Trump, he's made it clear throughout his life that he believes black people are inferior.
The Department of Justice accused the Trumps of violating the Fair Housing Act, arguing they were turning away renters based on race and color.
Donald Trump took out $85,000 in ads in the New York City newspapers calling for the execution of minors who at that point had not even gone to trial.
I hate these people, and let's all hate these people.
He has said on multiple occasions that he doesn't want black people involved in the counting of his money or involved in the running of his world.
He is a tried and true, dyed-in-the-wool racist.
In Trump's head, you can't be a person of color and an American.
I would do stop and frisk.
A violent confrontation on a New York City street that ends with one man, a black man, dead.
He just took me out the car, searched the car, asked where are the guns, where are the weapons and the drugs.
This is my license. I'm a pharmacist, all right? But I get stopped all the time. And because of that, I have to show this.
Stop and frisk. Very simple. You stop them and you frisk them.
President Trump plans to sign an executive order that will reverse an Obama-era policy which currently restricts local police from getting military-style guns and equipment.
Hands up, don't shoot! Hands
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. Wages too high. We have to leave it the way it is.
I worked at fast food for over 30 years, and I had to support my kids off of that money. Minimum wage is still $7.25.
It's rough. Gotta work 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet. You have to decide whether you're going to eat or pay your bills.
Look at how well the black community's been doing under this administration.
Efforts to save small business from the impacts of the pandemic have largely missed black-owned companies.
When I applied for the PPP, we didn't get any help.
The big companies, they didn't have to wait. They got their money. They started spending it immediately. People like me were still waiting.
Great for small businesses, great for the workers.
The Trump administration has done more to shape the courts in just one term than any other president in recent history.
Trump has confirmed 203 federal judges, and of that number, 8 have been black.
Trump judges have suspended affirmative action programs like the Fearless Funds grant for black women in tech, ruled against plaintiffs in housing discrimination cases, supported racially gerrymandered voting maps, blocked the EPA from enforcing environmental justice regulations, leaving communities like Cancer Alley in Louisiana without any protections.
Cancer Alley,
The state voters are 92% black.
It's black people who are suffering the brunt of all the ill effects of this petrochemical industry. We don't benefit anything from it.
We are the sacrifice zone.
Guard the vote. You should go into Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and you should go into some of these places, and we got to watch those votes.
Donald Trump said there was rampant fraud. He didn't say it was happening everywhere. He said it's happening in Detroit, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Fulton County, Georgia, Maricopa County, Arizona, Harris County, Texas, large urban centers with large populations of color. The thing that rhetoric is being used to justify are racially discriminatory voting policies, policies that make it harder for voters of color to vote.
There's a definite anti-white feeling in the country right now. That's what he said. You know, nobody in your family was hung. Nobody in your family was chased because of the color of their skin. How dare you? There's no anti-white issue here. You are perpetrating anti-humanist issues here.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. They got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. That's why the black people like me, we've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. I'm being indicted for you, the black population. Kamala, there was a Kamala. And all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black. Would you rather have the black president or the white president? I think they want the white guy. Look at my African American over here. Look at him. Racism. The least racist. I am the least racist person there is anywhere in the world. My favorite color is black. I should be staying in locker rooms, but I think it's good. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Well, you shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't be there. Maybe you shouldn't be in the country. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem.
That was President Trump responding to the NFL's new anthem rule that teams or players will be fined if they don't, quote, show appropriate respect for the anthem. Christine Brennan is here, a sports analyst and sports columnist for USA Today. I was stunned listening to this at my desk this morning. Deportation for exercising a First Amendment right of kneeling for the anthem? Is that what you heard the president suggest as even a possibility?
We are replaying, Poppy, what we saw in late September in that Alabama Senate race when Trump issued that infamous line, the SOB line, that triggered all of this. Here we are again. The NFL, I think, has done exactly what it never wanted to do. I don't know if they thought this through. I can't believe the owners did this. They have now ensured that this story will be like a drumbeat every day now through into September. And yes, to answer your question, that sure sounds like what Donald Trump said. It's truly unbelievable that the owners then sided with him. We understand all the controversy, but it's all ginned up all over again. None of this had to happen.
Yeah, I know there's somebody out there saying, well, what did he ever say that was racist? I never heard him say anything that was racist. Sometimes it's about the company you keep. Recently, Donald Trump has been seen with this woman, going to his rallies, going to special events with him. And from all the information that I gathered, she's a nutcase and a racist. Look what she wrote. She says, if Kamala Harris wins the White House, it will smell like curry, and the White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center, and the American people will only be able to convey their feedback through customer satisfaction surveys at the end of the call that nobody will understand. Think about how racist that is. And this is who Donald Trump decides to hang out with. And if you look at all the people that love Donald Trump, many of them are racist. And we all know it. Now, do you guys remember Andrew Gilliam from Florida? he ran against Ron DeSantis. I can't remember what year ago. It was almost about 8 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And he delivered one of the best lines as it relates to how do you identify a racist. Now, people take offense, especially Republicans, they take offense when you call them racist, right? And so Andrew Gilliam, he had an ingenious way of calling someone a racist without calling him a racist. Now, I want you guys just to take a listen to this little bit of the debate and watch how Andrew Gillum calls Ron DeSantis a racist without calling him a racist. And this is how we got to deal with Donald Trump. We got to associate the people that he deals with and associate those people with Donald Trump. Let's check it out.
Well, how the hell am I supposed to know every single statement somebody makes? Here's the deal. Let me just say this straight up. I've lived my life, whether it's athletics, whether it's military, whether it's serving as a prosecutor. When I was downrange in Iraq, we worked together as a team, regardless of race. We had the American flag on our arm. We wore the same uniform, and we fought for the country. When I was a prosecutor, I stood up for victims of every race, color, and creed. That's the only way to do it in our country. It's something I believe in, and as governor, I will represent all the people. Everyone will get a fair shake. But I am not going to bow down to the altar of political correctness. I'm going to not let the media smear me like they like to do with so many other people. So I'm certainly not going to take anything from Andrew Gillum, who's endorsed the Dream Defenders, which says Israel is an apartheid state, and which says the police and prisons have no place in justice.
Mr. Gillum, wait for the applause. And Mr. DeSantis, I'll point out, I wish you would have waited for the question, because I had a question, and it's not what you think it is. Mr. Gillum, I'll give you a chance to respond now.
Well, let me first say, my grandmother used to say, a hit dog will holler. And it hollered through this room. Mr. DeSantis has spoken. First of all, he's got neo-Nazis helping him out in the state. He has spoken at racist conferences. He's accepted a contribution and would not return it from someone who referred to the former president of the United States as a Muslim, Nigger. When asked to return that money, he said no. He's using that money to now fund negative ads. Now, I'm not calling Mr. DeSantis a racist. I'm simply saying the racists believe he's a racist.
That's Mr. DeSantis.
And that's a genius way of calling someone a racist without calling him a racist. Kudos to Andrew Gillum. Now, I'm well aware that there are people who support me, and I appreciate the support, who may differ with me on this issue. And that's okay. I still love y'all, and I appreciate the support. But I have to say that for me, Donald Trump presents a clear and present danger. And I feel an obligation to point out some things that maybe many of you Trump supporters are not considering. We all know about his character. He's a very corrupt individual who lacks morals and accountability. And for the life of me, I don't understand how people could support that. However, I understand the issue of immigration is huge. And to some degree, it does affect the Black community. And I understand the anger behind that, and I'm sure Donald Trump speaks to that. But when you look at the overall picture and what we're getting with Donald Trump, it's problematic. And I think it's important to flesh out some things. And that's why I decided to make this video. Now, thanks to the Supreme Court, he has immunity. So it's likely that if he gets in, he's not getting out. And I know many of you are saying, well, aren't there term limits? Yes, there are term limits. But remember, Donald Trump complained about every election was rigged or had the potential to be rigged. Donald Trump will rig these elections moving forward if he get elected president. Project 2025 provides a pathway to make that happen and make other things happen. Just think for a moment, January 6th and the days preceding January 6th, think about this. If Governor Kemp and Ratzenberger were not in Georgia at the time, and Donald Trump had his people in place, they would have found the 11 1,870 votes to put him over the top in Georgia. And he would have been president today. Project 2025 is not a scare tactic, as many of you have alluded, to scare people. This is real. Just think, like I said, all you got to do is look at all the things that happen. People pled guilty in Georgia. Do you know, in the Fannie Willis case, which is not happening, but there were people who pleaded out in that case because there was evidence of criminality. And this is what you will be electing in Donald Trump, a criminal. All right? So I just feel like, let me just sound the alarm. You do what you want. You know what I'm saying? I'm not caping for Kamala Harris or the Democrats. This is about Donald Trump for me. Personally, I wish there was someone else other than Kamala Harris. But these are the cards that were dealt, and that's what it is. So hopefully you can take this information in the spirit that it was given and do with it what you will. So definitely thumb up the video, share, subscribe. Until the next time, peace.